Hi everybody, it's Andro6657 here. It's time for another episode of Turn Back the Clock. It's where I review an old action figure for you guys. And on this week we have WCW Galoob Sting. Now, the WCW Galoob action figures came out roughly around the same time, maybe a little bit after the WWF at the time released their Hasbro figures. I think the Hasbro figures started technically in 1989, and then went on for a couple of years in the early 90s. But WCW Galoob action figures were only made from 1990 to 1991. Now, at the time, WCW was really just coming to the forefront as the #2 wrestling company out there at the time. WWF at the time had solidified its #1, its everything. This is the time that Ultimate Warrior was really popular, and Hulk Hogan, and even the Macho Man was still had his first coming up rise of fame right there too. But more importantly, I think it was really ushered the programming of wrestling directed towards kids at the time, and really showing that it is directed toward kids. Showing these cartoonish personalities, even actually making a cartoon called Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. Now, this whole WWF empire was all basically targeted toward kids, and at the same time, when that was going on, WCW came along, and they were pretty much more geared to the young males, I felt at the time. And we got a more realistic action figure from WCW compared to the Hasbro figures that the WWF released. The Hasbro figures that WWF released were not proportionate. They were not lifelike in most aspects. They were really, really cartoonish. But the WCW figures, very realistic sculpts, very realistic outfits that they had. That this is what Sting wore when he was wrestling at the time. Everything. The major drawback of the WCW Galoob action figures was there's, once again, like the WWF LJN figures, there's no articulation in these guys. So you have Sting in this really cool pose, but it's the only pose he has, and they're pretty tough. They're not bendable like the LJN figures were. And the Hasbro ones were articulated. The WWF Hasbro figures, they were articulated, and some of them even came with special features, like you could pull back an arm and it would punch, and spring-loaded punches and jumps and that kind of thing. And WCW's drawback, they didn't have any articulation, but they were very, very lifelike. And these guys really were made the same scale, almost, because there wasn't really a Hasbro scale because they weren't really that lifelike. But these guys were in the same scale as the Hasbro WWF figures, so you really could have, Sting versus Ultimate Warrior, or whatever your dream matchup would be at the time, being a young kid watching television. I remember watching WCW when I was a kid, and I was a kid at that generation where a lot of kids were really into the Ultimate Warrior, and I was too. And we were at that point where we would watch WWF Superstars that would come on Saturday mornings at around noon where I lived, and it was an hour of this really cool, really entertaining television, and only to be followed by an hour of WCW television, which was just wrestling. Didn't really have any storylines going on, didn't have that many people dressed in colorful outfits or any really gimmicky type of things, but it was always great wrestling. And I think that's where my first realization that, hey, it's more than just a show. There's these guys that are actually wrestling out there and really showing us great matches, as opposed to just getting hyped up by the Ultimate Warrior. I don't know why I'm doing that. But anyways, another interesting thing about the these Galoob action figures that they all came with a belt. And it was a solid gold colored belt that they all wore, and really hard to find. I think I drew on most of mine that I got when I was a young kid. But they all came with a belt, which is kind of odd because not all of them were champions, and not all of them had championships in their life, you know. Um, but all these figures came with a belt, and it was pretty cool because you get a whole bunch of belts, as opposed to a lot of the WWF action figures. They didn't really come with belts, unless you bought the ring, which had like the one world belt. But anyways, all in all, really great concept that making a realistic type of action figure that the WWF would soon steal once they got out of the Hasbro thing and into Jakks Pacific. But I mean, everybody was doing that then. But all in all, B plus for the WCW Galoob Stinger, because they were lifelike and they did help get WCW on the map just one step closer to the WWF. And even my father-in-law really likes this action figure.
Man, I like this. I like this one, man. This is a G.I. Joe, right? No?
Okay. That's all the time we have. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to watch all my other videos. Subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Like this video. And don't forget, holla at your boy. Customize some toys.